Hi and welcome to my Mounjaro weight loss journey weekly update. Coming up this week, a warning for those on Retatrutide. It's new watch time for me. Does that mean new fitness focus? There's all the tips, news, advice, questions, queries and more coming up in our community news. But for now, before all that, let's get straight on into the waffle section. Howdy to everyone and welcome back to those who've been here before. For everyone who hasn't, my name's Phil. I just want to start with apologies for this video going out so late. I do want to try and get them out over the weekend, but things have just been just mental at the moment, both in work, at home life, nothing bad, just busy. And unfortunately, when I am up the wall, what does take a hit is this weekly update video. It's got to go to the back of the list, unfortunately. I don't like that. I'd really rather get it done when it's said, but you know, it's funny though, because then I end up stressing about getting the video out and that ends up making things worse. You know, I love doing these updates on YouTube. I really do enjoy them. And I watch a lot of other YouTube channels that tell you how to make good videos, what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. One of them's always saying, be consistent, always post when you say you're going to, blah, blah, blah. Your channel will suffer if you don't. Now, this may be right, but what I need to remember is I'm making this channel for me, and now I make this channel for you guys as well. I'm not here to grow the channel in any specific way, so I just need to chill out and forget about it and start worrying about it. And do you know what I need to start doing? I need to start enjoying this again. Not that I wasn't, but I have made it into more of a chore than it needs to be. I do overthink things. I've seen some people say that in the comments, especially the first few videos. But yeah, chatting to all you lot in the comments, that's what I love doing. Making these videos, passing on information. That's what this is all about. And I need to stop stressing about when I'm going to post it, when is it going to be up, what's going to be in it, what's the content of it. I just need to just get back to just chilling out, enjoying myself with you lot, and just chatting a load of rubbish like I am doing now. You know, it's also a really good cathartic thing for me, this. I didn't think it would be, but it's a good place for me to get stuff off my chest, stuff that I don't even speak to other people about. I'm speaking to strangers about stuff that is on my mind that I don't really speak to with family or friends sometimes. It's not always Mounjaro related, most of the time it is, but yeah, there's all sorts comes out in this Waffle Section. It really is it's a really useful outlet for me. I really do feel like that's a good place for me to get things off my chest. But anyway, yeah, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent there. I think I'm just stuck in a bit of a rut at the moment, you know, with work, family life, even the channel. I'm weight loss and Mounjaro. I'm just going nowhere at the moment with all of it, but everything's hectic. Does that make any sense? I feel like everything's mental, but everything's staying in place and nothing's going anywhere. That makes sense in my head a little bit, but anyway, yeah, I think it's time I give myself a huge bit of a kick up the backside. I've got low motivation for everything at the moment. I can't be bothered doing this, can't be bothered doing that. That's not the normal me. I think I just need to reset and relax and get back to the more positive me. And I think, as Nick said in the comments last week, I really do need to kick up the backside, pull myself together. And I did appreciate that, Nick. I didn't take any offense to it. So thanks for that. Yeah, I think it's time for me to big push back to the old positive me, motivated me, and hopefully you'll see a bit of that in the next few coming videos. I want to try and get these a bit more fun again, a bit more upbeat, and yeah, I've got a good plan for next week's Halloween video. Or it'll be a Halloween theme, it'll be a Halloween tinge to it. Nothing crazy. I'm still completely new to editing these videos, making these videos, but the plan is next week to have a few little Halloween bits of text, graphics, music maybe. So nothing crazy, I just want a bit of fun, but it might be absolutely rubbish. It could be terrible. It probably will be, but to me, it'll be fun and I'll enjoy it. And yeah, sorry you guys, but yeah, that's the kind of thing I want to do. I just want to get a bit more fun going on in the videos again, because I do feel like I'm moaning a lot lately. I'm not getting anywhere, and that's fine. I'm not getting anywhere with my journey at the moment, but as long as the videos are helping you guys on your journey, I'm going to obviously continue doing them. And the idea is one day I'll come off Mounjaro and I'll still carry on doing these videos to help those who are on their journey. But yeah, my journey's stalling a bit at the moment. Like I said, I'm stuck in a rut. I don't want to use the word rut, but it's not great at the moment. But I'm going to get there. I'm going to keep things positive and upbeat. And speaking of fun, and one way I always do this, and you'll know I did a whole couple of videos on it a while back, but my fantastic, fun Wear OS OnePlus Watch 3 is gone. That is now currently on sale for eBay. I have replaced it with a new watch. Yes, it's been around 6 months, guys. That's a long time for me to keep a watch. But my new watch is this, and it is the Garmin Epix 2. So for anyone who's got a good memory, that's not new. It's now the third time I've bought this watch. The only slight difference this time it's the Sapphire model. The previous two times was just the normal Epix Gen 2. This is the Sapphire, so Sapphire glass, titanium, stuff like that. Maybe if I bought a watch 3 times in the last 12 months, what, 18 months, I should probably think about keeping it for a good while longer than 3 to 6 months, because obviously there must be something about it. I know why I've got it back. Yeah, there's one feature on Garmin that they do really well. I think they do better than anyone else, and that is they you do a workout or you exercise, and then they'll look at all your stats from that day, your energy burnt, your calories burnt, your exercise for that day, your heart rate, your elevated heart rate, your resting heart rate, your sleep you get, how good was your sleep, and the next morning you wake up and it'll go, based on that, I think you should do this today. And if you have a rough night or a rough day, it'll adjust it and I'll go, actually have a slightly easier run today or have a rest day. And I really like that sort. And I did really well with that with the back end of last year, beginning of this year. I lost a lot of my weight when I was using the Garmin Epix coach feature, which or the training feature. And I'm hoping that's going to give me a little bit of boost back into running because I've not been doing running much at all. And I was really enjoying it the back end of last year, beginning of this year. And I'd never enjoyed running before. So I'm hoping the Garmin Epix Gen 2 will give me a little bit of a boost and get me back into the exercise and mojo. Now, what else have I got to waffle on about this week? I have got, maybe we'll start with over my left shoulder there, is a little bonsai tree that I bought, my first one. I've got 2 others out in the kitchen as well that have arrived today. Never had bonsai before. I've always wanted one. Kind of regretting it already because I've fell down a rabbit hole of watching non-stop YouTube videos on how to prune, how to care, how to treat, how to water, how to repot, how to treat this. Wow. I did not realize how complicated it was. Mr. Miyagi did not make it look that complicated at all when he was telling Daniel San about it. You know, it's complicated. Obviously, I have these things in me, but I think things would be simple. Of course, it's not going to be simple. You learn how to grow a bonsai tree. It's a really old ancient tradition, but I've always liked the idea of, I've got one there, I've got a couple of others. I'm going to start looking into that. It's going to keep me entertained. It's another little fad, as my partner calls it. I go through these fads. Watches are one of my fads. Bonsai trees are going to be for a while now. Why can't I pick up like good fads, like going to the gym every day and weightlifting every day? Why can't they be the fads that take over my life? It's always something crazy. It was drones for a while, a couple of years ago. Bonsai trees at the moment. I'm hoping I can learn how to look after them. I'm hoping I do better than I do with the guitar. I've learned about 3 or 4 chords on that and I still can't string any together. Play chords, but just can't put them together. So yeah, let's hope the bonsai trees are my new little fad for a bit of fun going on. One last thing for me this week is just to say thank you for all the get well wishes you sent to me and the family last week when we had norovirus. I'm assuming it was. The whole family was not well on different days and that wasn't fun, but we're all ready to go now. The kids are getting G'd up for Halloween. I've got a Halloween party this week, I think, in school, and then they break up for half term. Yay for... Oh, kids are never in school, are they? It feels like they're never, ever in school. It feels like they are always off school. Definitely more than they're in. But anyway, yeah, half term coming up. Halloween, kids love it. I actually enjoy Halloween, hence why I want to do that little video next week. But yeah, that's it from me. I'm going to go on to the highs and hellos from all of you lovely lot. I'm going to start this week with Hi Joe. Now I'm going to go for Joe Weinberger. That was your handle. I forgot to look at your name properly and I've struggled to find the message since. But Joe, you took your first Weinberger? No, that's your name. You took your first injection last week and you were excited to get going. So congratulations on getting going and started on your journey. I hope your first week's gone well. Let us know how it went in the comments. Hello, Debs next. Debs, you've been on Mounjaro for 6 weeks now and you had a fantastic first 6 weeks. You lost in the first 5 weeks. You didn't lose in week 6, but you put a message in which I thought was really good for someone quite new saying don't lose heart, people, because even though I didn't lose on my 6th week, I've still lost inches, and you were reminding us all to make sure we look at those non-scale victories as we touched on last week, or it might have been the week before now. But yeah, well done, Debs, and congratulations on staying so positive with on a non-loss week, but a non-scale victory week. Hi, Blake's 999 next. Now, Blake's has just moved past one of their targets, or their first target. You've just gone past the 20 kilogram mark. That's a fantastic achievement. That's only since the end of July, so congratulations on the 20 kilograms off. And you're now moving on to your second goal, which is another 10 kilograms off, and I'm sure you'll have that in no time, mate. Finally this week, hello to Rob. Rob, you said it was a bittersweet loss this week. You lost 4 pounds, which a lot of people will be happy with. You were. But it was bittersweet because if you had lost another pound more, you would have gone into the 18 stone bracket for the first time, and that would have been a big milestone for you. But yeah, I've no doubt that pound will be gone this week, mate. And you've got, it's the 21st of October. You've got 9 days left till the end of the month, and that night out and a takeaway that you well deserved, mate. Good luck, Rob. Now, if you want to mention in next week's Waffle Section, leave something down below in the comments, whether it's where you're from or just something that you want to pass on to everyone. I'll get mentioned if I can. Also down below is a link to my provider, Voy. If you are interested in starting on Wegovy or Mounjaro with them, there's a link in the description down below. If you use the code PHILYT, you'll get £50 off your first order with them. I know it's one of the more expensive providers out there, but what you will find is they give you a lot more support. They've got access to dietitians, you've got access to coaches, you've got AI support for your meal analysis. You've got lots of other additional support that you don't get with many other providers apart from just the medication. So if you're looking for a little extra helping hand and the medication is not quite doing it for you and you can afford it, check Voy out, or especially do the first month with them at £50 off, and then look elsewhere by all means. Okay, we're going to move on to some tips now, and this week's first tips is around carbonated drinks. I don't think I've covered this before, but I do realise that a lot of us have gone off certain foods and drinks while we're on Mounjaro or Wegovy. You know, we find that we're not really interested in things as much anymore. Some people's alcohol, which mine was bloody alcohol. But yeah, the things we're just not interested anymore. And one thing that's dropped down my list is carbonated drinks. I used to drink quite a lot of them, but it really has dropped off now that I'm not really even bothered by them too much. I have the odd one every now and again if I go to a pub and I'm having a glass of Diet Coke or something like that. But there's a train of thought that carbonated drinks while you're on Mounjaro or Wegovy can add to the bloated feelingness and the discomfort while you're on GLP-1 medications. Now, obviously, that happens with drinks anyway. But there is a train of thought that it's exacerbated by GLP-1 medication. So if you are feeling bloated or you've got a bit of discomfort in your stomach, have a little think if you had any carbonated drinks that day. And if you have, maybe drop them next time, see if that goes away and doesn't come back. Now, the second tip this week is protein. Again, it's not one I probably spoke about myself personally, but it's one we all know about. We know how important water is. On this journey, you need to be getting 2-3 litres of water every day as part of your Mounjaro or Wegovy medication and journey. But protein's really important too to help you keep that muscle mass. You know, without the protein, you'll start wasting away muscle mass as well as the fat, which is what we don't want. And a really good thing to pin on top of that is some weight resistance training or resistance training in general if you can, and that's going to help you prevent you from losing much muscle. But that is it for this week's Waffle Section. As I mentioned just before, if you want to mention in next week's Waffle Section, you've got something to talk about, drop it in the comments of this video below. Time now for this week's community news. I'm going to start this week's community news with what I mentioned in the intro, and that is around Retatrutide. And I'm going to prefix this little section with I'm not a GP, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical professional. If you need medical advice for your Mounjaro or Wegovy, speak to your provider, speak to your GP or doctor, or speak to someone who is a medical professional. I'm not. But I want to say, if you're on Retatrutide, be very careful because you're not. For those who've not heard of Retatrutide, it is a new medication which is in the trial phases still from Eli Lilly, which is the same manufacturers of Mounjaro. It's looking really promising, but the fact that it is in trial period still means it's not available in any country in the world right now. What actually is a triple hormone agonist, which is nicknamed the Triple G drug because it actually impacts 3 key metabolic pathways: the GLP-1, the GIP, which is then makes it both the same as Mounjaro or tirzepatide, but it also includes a glucagon receptor as well, hence the name Triple G, because GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon. So yeah, meanwhile, while Mounjaro or tirzepatide targets just the GLP-1 and GIP receptors, this actually targets a third one, your glucagon receptor. But the stories I've read this week, though, and a bit of digging I've done around on Google afterwards, and is Retatrutide, as I said before, is in stage 3 trials in America with, once they're passed, that'll get FDA approval. But at this point, it's not approved. Eli Lilly are hoping to have it ready for next year sometime. But it means unless you're on the clinical trials, you are not taking Retatrutide. So please be very, very careful. Now, it could be the case that somebody has made something that is the same as Retatrutide, but then that would be illegal. It's exactly the same as Mounjaro or Wegovy. There's patents on these medications and people aren't allowed to make them. So therefore, if they are, again, it's not a legal version of Retatrutide that you're taking. So just again, I don't sound like a broken record, be careful before you take this or if you are taking it. And the reason I'm bringing this story up is because, well, firstly, it's really good to hear of another drug that's on its way down. It's even more impactful and more successful than Mounjaro. I think it was 22% average weight loss on Mounjaro. I think it's 24.5% on Retatrutide in the initial trials. But yeah, the second part is the stories in the news this week are really concerned about people buying it on social media. I've even had people on this channel say that they're on it and they're taking it, and that's what really got me concerned, and I'm worrying about what you actually might be taking. I'm not a saint by any stretch of the imagination. I've done plenty of risky and questionable things over my lifetime. But when it comes to injecting myself with a medication, I don't think I'd be buying that from social media. I'd be only getting that from actual official outlets. But yeah, anyone who's been sold Retatrutide, it's not Retatrutide. Do a bit of digging yourself before you use it, is what I would say. One of the actual stories I read was about some ex-Big Brother contestant. I didn't know her name, but she took it and she ended up losing the sight in one of her eyes. Now, the story didn't actually say if she got it back or whether it was like just temporary or permanent, but she lost the sight in one of her eyes. She was really ill. She ended up in hospital, and that's when she realised it wasn't actually a proper licensed drug. I mean, she bought it off TikTok. She probably should have known better. But yeah, I'm really sorry for getting really preachy there, guys, but be careful. It's not official. That drug does not exist out in the wild yet for us to purchase from anyone. Next up, we've got another story I picked up in the news this week, and it was just a quick one. I'm going to do a high level, not going into too much detail, but it was just around the sales of GLP-1 drugs. And in July 23 to July 24, 493,000 GLP-1 drugs were sold, or prescriptions were sold. And in the same time from July 2024 to July 2025, it was over 2.5 million were sold in the same 12-month span, so an increase of over 7-fold, with over 90% of those being on the private market, like many of us get them. So yeah, less than 10% getting it via the NHS or things like that. And they expect to continue that growth to continue into 26, 27 and way beyond. So yeah, it's a growing market, guys. It isn't going anywhere. And if anything, as I just thought I just mentioned before, there's a new version on the way. And I think that's how you'll see it now going forward. Each company will try and outdo the other and get a few more percentage. I know Wegovy have got one in the pipeline for the end of this year, which they're claiming is on a par with Mounjaro. And that's coming back end of this year, early next year. So you might find that Wegovy and Mounjaro are doing the same for weight loss going forward into next year. But then obviously Eli Lilly are going to try and trump that with Retatrutide. Not Retatrutide. Retatrutide. It's not easy to say that one. But I, for one, think that's going to be good. You know, it means there is new medication coming, but also the relief on the NHS down the line could be fantastic. With all the weight-related, or a lot of the weight-related illnesses not being on the books anymore, you could see the NHS getting a massive free up in cash and funds and staff, hopefully. But we'll see how that goes. Now, finally, this week, it's a tip from Ian, and I really, really like this, Ian. I'm going to try and do it, but I'm competitive, but I'm always competitive against other people. I'm not so competitive when it comes to beating myself. You know, I think that's why I'm not great at running. Oh, I want to beat me run time. But this tip from Ian is brilliant. I think it might work for some of you, and he gamifies his day. Every day, he gamifies his weight loss journey. What I mean by that, I'll give you a little example. So if Ian starts a day and gets up and has a healthy breakfast, that's straight away early 1-0 lead for Ian on the start of the day. If he then goes on for a walk on lunch, it's 2-0 already to Ian. He's got a comfortable little lead and we're only at lunchtime. If he goes and has a little weight session later on and a healthy dinner, there you go. He's 4-0 up, getting towards full time. And if he does slip up later on and has a little unhealthy snack, he lets one in, he concedes the goal, he's 4-1 up at the end of the day. And all right, he could have had a perfect 4-0 clean sheet, defender and goalkeeper aren't happy. But at the end of the day, going on a bit of a tangent here, but at the end of the day, he's 4-1 up, and if he has a day like that for most of the season, he's going to win the league, he's going to end up coming out way on top, and he's going to see a lot of weight loss during that time. But I really, really like the idea of gamifying it, Ian. I'm interested to know, does anyone else do something similar? Have you got any other little silly quirks or funny things like that, just to make it more interesting? Because it is boring, isn't it? Come on, guys. It is boring losing weight. We're eating the same things, or boring. It's not always boring. Maybe I made that harsh there. Maybe it's just me. It can be very boring. But yeah, I mean, I think I really like the idea of gamifying things. I don't play Xbox as much these days as I would like to, with growing up and being a big adult and kids and family and work and money and bills and debts and things like that. But yeah, I mean, gamifying weight loss, great idea, and I'm going to try and do it, mate. Thanks for that. But that is it for this week's community news, and we're going to move straight on into my weekly update. But just before I go any further though, if you are enjoying the video, you find it fun, useful or informative, and you haven't already, please subscribe, like the video and turn on the notification bell. Thank you very much. I'm going to start this week with diet as I always do, and there's not much of an update to go into this week really. I was not really had breakfast many times this week. Banana 2 days, banana and Greek yogurt 1 day. I had a pot noodle 1 day, which is not great, just laziness because I've been that busy in work. For lunch, a couple of chicken salads. I was all right with teas, a couple of rice. I had pasta one. Anyway, I'm going into too much detail here. The big one is Domino's pizza Saturday night takeaway with the missus, and drank Friday and Saturday. I'm struggling, guys. I really am struggling. I want to get into a period of no drinking again. I know you're probably sick of it. I said like 2 or 3 weeks now. I'm struggling just to not drink. I'm enjoying it. That's a silly thing. That's the whole point of drinking, isn't it, really? But yeah, I'm really struggling to cut it off. And I know once I cut it off, I think once I cut the booze off, the crap food will go, because obviously they come kind of together, don't they? You know, let's have some pizza and beer, or maybe I'm just making excuses again. Problem is, I've been telling myself this for a few months now, and yeah. Hang on, I'm not going. I want to stay positive, Phil. I do want to be back to positive, Phil, this week, and that's really what I'm going. But yeah, next week it's going to be much more positive. Forget about it. Yeah, healthier, and hopefully by the end of this week off the booze. Exercise was nothing this week, guys. Absolutely zero. I didn't go into it, but my manager's away, and when she's not in, I take over the team. So she's away for 2 weeks, sunning herself in a gorgeous Mauritius. But while she's away, I have got to run the team, and we're just up the wall at the moment, so I'm not getting many lunch breaks, so therefore I can't get out for exercise. Working later, working evenings, it's just chaos. So that's one of the reasons why there's no exercise this week. More excuses. There's always excuses, and I seem to be getting better at the excuses than they're doing lately. Dose still 7.5 mil. It won't be 7.5 mil next week though, because stupid me forgot to, when you with your provider, say no, don't be up a dose. So my dose is coming tomorrow at 10 milligrams, which I didn't want, but I got 10 milligrams, see what happens. I can always go back down if I want to the following week. That'll be a nice little surprise for my bank balance though, when I go to check that after later. But yeah, dose 7.5, fine on it. I'll be interested to see what 10 does. I've never been to 10. I've been 7.5 before this. I think it feels much different to 5 to be honest, but let's see what 10 does. Drink, just covered it. Funny on no drink though, my weight was falling off until I started drinking again. Now I know I'm saying it, I mean, I've been around the same weight now since May, up and down the 16 stone bracket. May, yeah. I know, Nick, we're back to give yourself a kick up the backside, Phil. I know, Nick, but yeah, from earlier on, you're right. It needs to stop. What a waste of money, as you said, Nick, for 3 or 4 months. But yeah, I did start drinking, and ever since then, the weight's not really moved. Plenty of you drink, and plenty of you losing weight. So it's just, I know it's an excuse, but maybe it's not for me. Maybe that is impacting me more than I think. But yeah, anyway, results time, and what has that done for the scales? On Saturday, the 13th of October, I weighed in at 16 stone 4 pound. That's 228 pound, or roughly 103 kilos. On Saturday, 18th of October, when this video was recorded, it should have been going up over the weekend. Like I said, it's a little bit late, but I weighed 16 stone 6 pound. That's 230 pound, or 104 kilos roughly, meaning this week I've had a gain of 2 pound, and forget it, move on, it happens. Better days to come ahead next week, guys. Let's forget about that. 2 pound gain, moving on. So we're going to move on finally just to do a final update on the Whoop, because it goes back next week. I did a 4-week trial, to give me an extra 2 weeks. I'm not keeping it. I don't see the point. Great device, really good metrics, really in depth, but I think it's only beneficial if there's a few things. You really are going to work out and use it regularly. You're then going to use those metrics to do something with them. So, you know, sleep's a big one. It keeps telling me, I'm a night owl. I can't go to sleep at 10:15 telling me to. Maybe if I did, I'd be feeling fantastic and the weight would be falling off me, but I can't. So yeah, I can't do that. So you're going to use the metrics, you're going to look at them, you're going to use them, you're going to compare them. You're going to then go, right, how do I beat that? How do I make that better? How do I get better sleep? Then yeah, the Whoop is a fantastic device. It's very pricey. It's about £260 a year for the middle tier every year. You don't just buy it once. So yeah, for me guys, the Whoop really, not for me, but it might be for some of you out there. Now, as always, if there's something you'd like to discuss, stick it in the comments for this week's video and I'll try and get through to it next week. If there's any advice you'd like to give to others, or any tips or anything you want to be answered by others and you need to know, stick it in the comments and the community will help you there, and I'll help you if I can. I'll do my best to cover it in next week's update. For now though, if you found any of this useful, insightful, or just fun, and like I said earlier on, if you haven't already, please subscribe, like, turn on the notification bell. For now though, keep going. You're all absolutely nailing it. I'm not. If I can't do this, you can do this. We can all do this. I'll see you next week for the next update. Bye for now.